more breaking news, shockingly, or maybe not shockingly. Marjorie Taylor Greene seems like she's about to lead now a vacate motion for Speaker Johnson in the House. Marjorie Taylor Greene seizing on the fury of many Republicans after seeing this omnibus bill and this pork-clogged, disgusting mess of a bill, and we're signing another omnibus that has so many goodies and carve-outs for so many special interests, has nothing to do with the American people, and zero border control. Of course, nothing. Zero border control. Nothing. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is now maybe going to lead another revolt against the Speaker of the House. She was on the floor of the House saying that no Republican in good conscience can vote for the uniparty omnibus. This is not a Republican bill. It is a Chuck Schumer Democrat-controlled bill from a Republican-controlled House, and saying that the Speaker should be ashamed of himself. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene, ladies and gentlemen, in her own words from the floor of the House moments ago. Sounds like we have another speaker battle on our hands. Let's listen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in extreme opposition to the second part of the omnibus bill. No Republican in the House of Representatives in good conscience can vote for this bill. It is a complete departure of all of our principles, especially if you call yourself pro-life. This bill funds full-term abortion. This is not a Republican bill. This is a Chuck Schumer Democrat-controlled bill coming from the House majority that is supposed to be controlled by Republicans, but yet our majority has been completely
Members are reminded to direct their
Democrats.
remarks to the chair. Please.
Madam Speaker, it is the will of our voters, and it is the will of Republicans across the country that this bill should not be brought to the floor, that this bill will absolutely destroy our majority, and will tell every single one of our voters that this majority is a failure. This is the bill that the White House cannot wait to sign into law. This is the bill that rips our border wide open and tells every single person in over 160 countries around the world they can invade our country, they can run over our border patrol, they can run over our Texas National Guard, they can come in, rape our women, murder our people, and squat and take over our homes. This is an atrocious attack on the American people. The Speaker of the House should not bring it to the floor, and this bill should not pass.
Man, hot damn. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill is an absolute abomination. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, has every right to be upset. It's literally a lobbyist-backed pork funding bill that has nothing to do with what regular Americans would want to see inside of their funding packages. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on the steps of the Capitol explaining to a gaggle of media why she is bringing this motion now against Mike Johnson. The way that it works is the Speaker signs a motion that if you are able to get a motion to vacate plus a second, then you're going to be able to vacate the chair. Republicans are going to give the House to the Democrats, man. Like, you only have a two-seat in the majority. Republicans are going to give the House to Democrats. That's what's going to happen in this situation. Because what you're going to get is you're going to get like two Republicans that vote with Democrats, and you're going to have Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. Whew. It's going to be crazy. I'm not saying Mike Johnson is doing what's right here. I'm saying you're going to have, like, once again, we have an entire show built on, like, we must unite to win. We must unite against our common enemies. The orcs are at the gates of Helm's Deep. Like, we either decide that the enemy, the Marxist, is more dangerous than our own side. And part of that, I guess, like, the blame lies at Mike Johnson. Like, Mike Johnson's got to not force Republicans to vote on bills like this that have abortion funding and open borders funding. I mean, it's literally antithetical to what the Republican Party is in favor of. Late-term abortion and then open borders. I mean, come on. Like, how can you go back to your constituents and say that? And that's exactly what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying. The speaker's put us in a position to, like, vote against our consciences. Kind of the same thing that's happening with Candace and Ben, right? Like, it's when it's a battle of, like, your conscience and your morality, then, well, where are you going to land on? What side are you going to land on? Check this out.
As with rules and promises to the American people that we would bring regular order back to Congress. Speaker Johnson has betrayed that by passing 3 CRs and then forcing us to pass or to vote on a 2-part omnibus, the second one being today. He also only gave us, I mean, I don't even know how, we had 1 day basically to read 1,012 pages, breaking the 72-hour rule. This is a betrayal of the American people. This is a betrayal of Republican voters. And the bill that we were forced to vote on forced Republicans to choose between funding to pay our soldiers and in doing so, funding late-term abortion. This bill was basically a dream and a wish list for Democrats and for the White House. It was completely led by Chuck Schumer, not our Republican Speaker of the House, not our conference, and we weren't even allowed to put amendments to the floor to have a chance to make changes to the bill. I filed the motion to vacate today, but it's more of a warning and a pink slip. I respect our conference. I've paid all my dues to my conference. I'm a member in good standing, and I do not wish to inflict pain on our conference and to throw the House in chaos. But this is basically a warning, and it's time for us to go through the process, take our time, and find a new Speaker of the House that will stand with Republicans and our Republican majority instead of standing with the Democrats.
Man. Oh, hot damn, ladies and gentlemen. So it looks like it's on again in the House. There's really bad stuff in this bill. Nobody should be like excited about what's in this bill. Jesse Waters did a really great breakdown of all of this pork funding, and like it is remarkable how we don't have like a Congress that is built on you or me. We have a Congress that is built on special interests and lobbying, and that's how you get this. You could almost $1 million, like almost $1 million for gay senior citizens centers, college tuition for young people in Egypt, not your kids, of course, teaching elementary school kids, obviously, gender confusion for elementary school kids, zoo tickets. If House Republicans vote for this, then they deserve to lose their seats. They're putting them into such a horrible, horrible position. Speaker Mike Johnson ran as this sort of archetype Christian. And it's like, how could you possibly not hold the line on something like this? It seems like this is something that could actually will absolutely result in Republicans losing their seats, ladies and gentlemen. And the details of this spending package, we often don't dive into the mix on things like this, but the details of the spending packages are utterly grotesque. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it. Okay. Jesse Waters did a wonderful segment on this last night. Let's have a watch. I'm disturbed. I'm sort of absorbing all of this. Oh man, is the whole rest of the year now going to be another speaker's fight? And are we going to hand the House back? Is the House going to go back to Democrats? Ooh, spaghetti-o. And it's all done. Mike Johnson could have just said no. But instead, Mike Johnson approved of this. This is what he approved of.
There's an old saying, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Well, this morning at 2:23, Congress released a monster 1,012-page bill with $1 trillion price tag. They're rushing to pass the bill before you have a chance to read it. Why? Well, because it's full of pork. And we've been digging through it. And here's what you're paying for. Liz Warren is spending $850,000 on a gay senior citizen home in Boston. Florida has the villages. Massachusetts has the village people. We're spending $15 million to pay for Egyptians' college tuition. Egyptian tuition, not Egyptians who live in America, Egyptians in Egypt. Egyptian tuition. So we pay for illegals to go to college here, and now we're paying for the tuition before I guess they even cross the border. Speaking of Egypt, Gold Bar Bob's sending 400 grand to a gay activist group that teaches elementary school kids about being trans. Not enough to keep you out of jail, Gold Bar. Sorry. Another $400,000 goes to a group that gives clothes to teens that help them hide their gender, like chest binders and tuckums. Parental permission not required. Even Dianne Feinstein, who unfortunately passed away long before the bill was written, has an earmark from the grave. $500,000 for a DEI zoo. The San Diego Zoo's getting $500,000 for an anti-racist nature appreciation program where high school kids from diverse backgrounds can observe wildlife. Why do they need $500,000 to go to the zoo? Tickets are like $15. That should be enough for every congressman, especially the Republicans, to vote no. But this massive bill will probably be on Biden's desk this weekend, and he'll just sign your money away. Poof.
That's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. But there is a groundswell of people speaking out. There is actually a clip that went viral earlier this week from the South Carolina State House, where a man named Adam Morgan decided to speak out against lobbying in the State House and in the chamber and speak on behalf of the people who elected him. It was very much a Mr. Smith goes to Washington moment. It went thermonuclear. Perhaps you've seen this clip, but it's a real stunner where this one man sort of stands up against this entire body of special interests and bought and paid for lobbyist apparatchiks and said, no more. Watch.
The pressure in here in Columbia is for me to not even vote red on the board. Y'all might not know this. A dark money entity that was created on Tuesday, the day after we voted for this, I went home and a attack piece went out in my whole district about the fact that I voted for this. I get that the people in Columbia, that the lobby wants me to either not vote or to vote green on this, but my constituents want me to vote red, and they want their tax money spent on core government functions, on their roads, on their schools. That's what they want their money spent on.
Do you consider the fact that South Carolina's track record on bringing major projects into this state has a winning record, and therefore, again, commerce should be listened to rather than those people back in your district that may not have ever brokered a deal, may not understand what it means of being a project, may not understand economic incentives. So what you're suggesting is we should listen to the people back home in your district rather than the people at Commerce that have been successful at bringing these mega deals to South Carolina.
Mr. Rutherford, I don't think that you could have espoused a philosophy that disagrees more fundamentally than me. I completely disagree with you, and I think that you believe what you just said. But no, I 100% am going to listen to the people back home who I represent in this House, and you should listen to the 40,000 people in your area, and not the bureaucrats at Commerce, and not the lobbyists, and not the multi-billion-dollar international corporations. You should listen to your constituents like I am. So,
I mean, how refreshing is that to hear, ladies and gentlemen? And you're going to hear a little more of it because Adam Morgan, candidate for Congress, joins the program now. Adam, I really appreciate your patience with us this morning. We have had a crazy breaking news day. We call it Free for All Friday. Sometimes we do 5-hour shows on Fridays, so I apologize. Adam Morgan's been waiting, and we've just had like one thing after another. But it kind of dovetails perfectly into now the speaker getting recalled and Congress in Washington, D.C., which you wish to join. I believe you were running for South Carolina 4th District. Everyone's now saying, what the hell is this omnibus bill? What is this thing, right? You drop a 10,000-page bill on us at 2 a.m. Is this common practice?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally indicative of everything wrong with Washington. The members didn't even see it before. They had no input. It was written up by staff and bureaucrats and leadership and special interests. And of course, it's chock full of all these special projects that the American people do not want. It's a waste of our tax money. It's stuff that we shouldn't be spending with tax dollars. We're like playing socialism in all these different arenas, trying to plan the family and plan the economy and plan everything. And it's like, government, get out of the way. That's what the whole debate was about. Like, let the people be great. Roll the government back. We don't create jobs. We're not going to plan the family better than individuals, and just let the American people be great.
So that clip went thermonuclear. I saw it everywhere. And that guy was like, I don't know if you paid that guy or what, but he's like, well, he's like straight out of central casting. So you're saying that we should listen to our constituents? I was like, yeah, dude. Like what do you think this is? But amazing that you had to like explain that to him.
I even tried to help him. I almost couldn't contain myself. I was like, oh, like, buddy, do you realize what you're saying? But then he just said the quiet part out loud, that there are really people in elected office and in government who think that the constituents that they represent are too stupid to have an opinion on the bills and the legislation that's coming before us. And this bill was a $1.3 billion handout to a private company to make electric vehicles. Not even a stable market, all propped up by Biden subsidies. And so from the start, it was a terrible idea and a terrible deal. And yet he thought that my constituents were just incapable of understanding how it was such a bad deal and that we should maybe spend our tax money on roads and public safety and school and not giving it to a multi-billion-dollar corporation to make electric vehicles, which ultimately is just going to fail. And yes, it's just everything wrong with Washington and everything wrong with politics.
So you're a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives. You're an elected official. I've never been an elected official, nor have I ever been a financial advisor. But the financial advisors that are my neighbors here in Tampa, and that's a big industry here in Tampa, they often tell me that the reason Trump had such a great economy is because he pulled everything back.
Yeah.
He said no regulation. He said don't get involved, actually. Yeah. Let the market do its thing. Thin spending bills, like less government intervention, led to a roaring economy. Why can't people figure that out?
Go figure. Our conservative values actually work. Isn't that why we run as Republicans? Isn't that why it's in the Republican Party platform to oppose corporate welfare and crony capitalism? Like, we're the party that's supposed to be against government intervention and socialism in the marketplace. And when we roll things back, we do, the economy does flourish. We do better. And so the problem is we have too many elected officials in the Republican Party, but of course in the Democrat Party, who think that they know best, who want to claim that they've created jobs and that they've done all these great things, when you are there to listen to your constituents, to fight for them, and to fight against the government abuses of trying to take more tax money and waste it, of trying to weaponize government against American citizens. And that's one of the reasons I'm running for Congress. I've been fighting it in South Carolina. I'm chair of the Freedom Caucus. We fight on every front all the time for our values. And I just think we need more people in Washington who know what's at stake and are willing to fight. And so you guys can check me out at voteadammorgan.com. It's a movement, but I think people are hungry for somebody who will actually listen to the people and represent their interests and not the interests of the lobbyists.
So if you get to Congress, I mean, what would you be doing on this vote right here with the speaker? Like, why is this happening? I thought Speaker Johnson was going to be pretty good based on what I heard about him. He's from the Freedom Caucus in DC, right? He's a Freedom Caucus member, a Republican Study Committee member in DC. So what gives, man?
Yeah, I don't know. Speaker Johnson wasn't from the Freedom Caucus. That was Jim Jordan was the Freedom Caucus option, and they rejected him because he actually was aligned with the Freedom Caucus. That's why a lot of the moderate Republicans said no. And so Johnson was kind of a compromise candidate that the conference could come up with. And, the fact is, what it ultimately comes down to is the majority of Republicans are going to, sway this one way or the other. And if the majority had the stomach for the fight for the American people and were willing to oppose the groups that write large campaign contributions, we wouldn't have this problem. This is not a Republican bill. It's a Republican compromise or a surrender, even funding all these leftist projects. And when I get there, I'm going to join the Freedom Caucus day one. I think they're the ones who have been so outspoken against this bill from the start. I mean, the fact that it's over 2,000 pages, the fact it was dropped in the middle of the night, and they don't even have time to read it and comprehend what they're even voting on is ludicrous. And let alone the fact that it's literally funding our invasion. It does nothing to secure the border and actually even funds the furtherance of bringing illegals here, let alone the transgender mutilation on minors and the late-term abortions. I mean, you can go on, and it's baffling that we're even having this discussion when we control the House. We need strong leadership and we need conservatives.
Yeah. All it takes is just stand up. Stephen Miller was on the show yesterday. He's like, when was the last time a Republican stood up for you? This is why Donald Trump's so popular. This is why Donald Trump's so damn popular. Like, all it takes is one person to stand up. Like, all it takes is like one, right? And if all of us start standing up, which is what this audience is about, then you can actually defeat systems. Yes. You can like, we fight the corporate media every single day, and like, you can actually defeat systems. You can get bigger ratings than them. And we do it every day. And so we hope that testicular fortitude is brought to Congress. We say best of luck, sir. I know you've already shouted out your campaign, but I did want to just ask one quick question on this. Like, it looks like you have a beautiful family there. Like, would they be prepared for you to go to DC? DC sucks, man. I have spent 15 years in DC, right? Like, I didn't want to raise my family in DC.
It does. Well, I won't be raising him in DC, but I will be taking him with me. We started homeschooling my oldest, and we're planning on going back and forth. We want to live in district, but we want to stay together. Yeah, I think we need more people who own small businesses, who, are involved in their faith communities, who, have families and are actually family people. Let's get away from, hiring career politicians who are so disconnected and are literally just running to, insider trade or whatever they're doing to make so much money. Like, we need people who are actually going to go and who care about the future of this country. I got a lot at stake. I got a newborn and a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. Like, the country that we make and that we fight for and the values that we defend is what they're going to inherit. So I've got a lot on the line. And, we have to fight for it, because when you don't have conservatives that step up to the plate to run, and you don't have conservatives engaged at the grassroots level getting these people elected, there's a void. And you know who fills it? Special interest. And they come in and they write big campaign checks and they help them on their campaigns. And that's why they buy so many elected officials. And we have to stop that. We have to actually defeat the stranglehold that the special interest groups and these lobbyists have over members of Congress. I'm so glad the video went viral. It's hilarious that it went viral when I literally just said, hey, representatives, represent your people. It's literally in the name. But the truth is, now I got a big target on my back, and all the people, special interest groups, are literally sitting there going, definitely not that guy. So, I know that it's going to have to be a groundswell of support that actually gets me over the finish line. But I think things are looking good, and I'm just glad to step up to the plate and fight for the American people.
Well, Godspeed in your race, sir. And thank you for spitting truth. Benny Brigade's behind you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
All right.